I thought it was just a vacation, but that last whisper from the guide changed everything. What he told me made my heart race, and my knees almost gave out. If you think you know your partner, think again. Watch till the very end. This story will stay with you. Asterisk, it all started with a gift. My wife, Mira, had been planning something quietly for months. She handed me a small envelope one evening after dinner. Inside was a folded plane ticket and a handwritten note that said, "Time to take a break from life. Just you, me, and the sea." I was stunned. Things between us had been okay. Not bad, but not the way they used to be. We'd been together for 12 years, and life had become predictable. This trip felt like a lifeline, something to bring us back together. We landed in Jamaica on a warm Tuesday afternoon. The air smelled of sea salt and fruit. Our guide, a tall, quiet man named Dorian, met us at the airport. He had kind eyes, the kind that had seen too much, but still softened when he smiled. From the airport to the villa, everything felt like a dream. Mira held my hand tighter than she had in months. She laughed more. And for the first time in a long while, I let myself believe we were okay. Asterisk. The days passed slowly, in the best way. We explored waterfalls, danced to reggae music, and ate under the stars. Every moment felt like something we'd lost and were trying to reclaim. One night, we sat near a cliff overlooking the ocean. Mira leaned into me and whispered, "Do you ever wish we could just stay here?" I kissed her forehead and said, "Maybe we can." But something felt strange too. Dorian, our guide, was always nearby. He was professional, polite, but there was a look in his eyes whenever he glanced at Mira. It wasn't obvious, just thoughtful, observant. I brushed it off as imagination. Maybe I was reading too much into things. After all, she was beautiful. People looked at her all the time. It wasn't new. Still, something was beginning to itch at the back of my mind. Asterisk, by the fourth day, Mira was acting different. Not distant exactly, but quieter. She'd sit by herself on the porch, staring at the horizon. She avoided some of my questions. And when I asked what was wrong, she just smiled and said, "Nothing, love. I'm just thinking." One evening, I caught her crying alone by the beach. When I walked over, she wiped her face quickly and pretended everything was okay. I didn't press. I just sat beside her, held her hand, and said, "Whatever it is, we'll face it together." She didn't reply. I noticed Dorian watching us from a distance that night. His expression unreadable. Asterisk, it was the last morning of our trip. We were packing, and I was out on the deck sipping coffee when Dorian approached. He stood in front of me, looking more serious than I'd seen all week. "I need to talk to you," he said, alone. Confused, I followed him to the garden. He looked me in the eye and said something I'll never forget. "I wasn't supposed to tell you anything, but you need to ask your wife why she really came here. Ask her what happened here 10 years ago." My stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" I asked, stunned. Dorian just shook his head. "Ask her tonight before you leave." And with that, he walked away. Asterisk, that evening, the sky was golden as the sun began to fall behind the hills. We had one last dinner by the water, just Mira and me, but I couldn't focus on the food. Dorian's words haunted me. I watched her. The way her fingers trembled slightly while holding her glass. The way her eyes flickered away from mine when I asked, "Is there something you want to tell me, Mira?" She froze. Then she smiled, a forced, fragile kind of smile. "Why would you ask that?" she said softly. I leaned in. "Because someone told me to. He said I should ask why you really brought me here, and what happened 10 years ago." Her hand dropped to her lap. Her breathing changed. For a long time, she just sat there, silent. Then, with a whisper, she said, "I didn't come here just for the sea. This place. This is where I lost something. I didn't interrupt. I was. Here 10 years ago, she continued. Not on a vacation. I came here to disappear for a while. I'd found out I was pregnant, and the man I loved wasn't ready. I felt like the air had been knocked out of me. You mean me? She shook her head slowly. No, someone else. Asterisk, I didn't know what to feel. My throat was dry, my hands shaking. She looked so small, sitting across from me, her voice barely above a whisper. I was 22, she said. Confused, scared. I didn't tell anyone. I came here to think, but I lost the baby. It happened fast, and I didn't have anyone. Except for one man who helped me. I didn't need to ask who. Dorian, I said. She nodded. He didn't know me, that he stayed with me the whole night. Took me to the clinic, made sure I had food, and never asked for anything. I never forgot him. I felt like I was in a dream. My wife, the woman I thought I knew, had been carrying this pain alone for years. And the man who guided us this week, who carried our bags and showed us waterfalls, had been there for her when I wasn't even in the picture. Why didn't you ever tell me? I asked. Because I buried it, she said. I buried it so deep I thought it was gone. But when I saw Dorian again, when I looked into his eyes, everything came back. Asterisk, that night, I couldn't sleep. I watched the ceiling fan spin in slow circles while Mira lay beside me, turned away. I felt something heavy inside me. Not jealousy, something else. Something raw and deep. I wasn't angry about the past. I was hurt by the silence. Hurt that I had shared my soul with someone who kept a whole world hidden behind her smile. I stepped outside, hoping for air. Dorian was sitting near the edge of the deck, staring out at the sea. I walked over. You knew I didn't know, I said. Looked at me, nodded once. Why tell me now? I asked. He sighed. Because she needs to let go. And you deserve the truth. I'm not a part of her future, but that night, I saw a side of her you hadn't seen. The side that's been haunting her. We sat there quietly. Two men, connected by the same woman and the same grief. She loves you, he said softly. Don't let her carry this alone anymore. Asterisk, the next morning was still. The island was waking slowly, waves brushing against the rocks. Mira and I didn't speak much while packing. But before we left, I took her hand. Thank you, I whispered. She looked confused. For trusting me with your pain? I may not have known the girl you were, but I know the woman you are now. And I still choose her, she cried. Not loud sobs, just silent tears that fell and didn't stop for a while. I held her close. And for the first time in a long time, I felt her let go, really let go, of something she'd been carrying too long. We left the villa. Dorian helped load our bags. Before I stepped into the car, I shook his hand. Thank you, I said. He gave a small nod and said just one thing. Heal her. She's worth it. Asterisk, returning home was strange. Everything looked the same. The walls, the lights, the smell of our sheets. But something had shifted between us. Mira talked more now. About her past, her fears, her dreams. And I listened. One night, she held my hand and said, You didn't run. When I finally told you, you stayed. I kissed her hand. That's what love does. It stays. We started fresh in many ways. Therapy, walks in the park, late night conversations. Every piece of healing became part of the new version of us. And for the first time, I saw her whole, not as a puzzle with missing pieces. Asterisk, it took a guide in Jamaica to lead us back to each other. Not just on beaches or trails, but through memories, through pain, through honesty, what Dorian gave. Use wasn't just directions around a beautiful island. He gave us something far more rare, the courage to speak the unspeakable, the strength to stay, the grace to forgive. And now, when I look at Mira, I don't just see my wife. I see a survivor, a fighter, a woman who learned to breathe again, and I'm proud to walk beside her through every storm, every silence, every sunrise. Asterisk, if this story touched you, take a moment to tell someone you love that you're listening. Sometimes that's all they need. Asterisk.